Hello, I'm Wendy Neal, and I'm really excited to share with you all, judges, other contestants, and community members, my solution for the end user SharePoint Hunger Games challenge. But before I show you my demo, just wanted to mention a couple of quick things. Number one, my goal was to use as much out of the box SharePoint, SharePoint Designer, SP services, jQuery, JavaScript, client-side scripting as much as possible, which actually was a real challenge for me because I'm a .NET developer who, it's real easy for me to just open up Visual Studio and get cracking. So this was really challenging for me in that aspect. And then secondly, I also wanted to mention the audience, define the audience that I was building this solution for. I think that's really important because and I think one of the other contestants mentioned as well that, with such vague requirements and no audience really defined, these solutions could really go a lot of different directions, and hopefully they will. Hopefully there'll be a lot of variety. But my audience, basically, I set this up for employees of a company, so maybe an intranet or a part of an intranet, where multiple users can log in. They can add their feeds. Um, maintain feeds separately from others, that kind of thing. And also, again, wanting to show, maybe you're a user in a company and they allow you to use SharePoint Designer and you really don't have any developers on staff, perhaps. This would be something that you could implement in your shop and, with just out of the box and SharePoint Designer, and just really to show some of the out of the box capabilities and how powerful the platform really is. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and log in to my site, and I'm just logging in as a Windows user, Active Directory. No, we don't want to do that. And so this is what it looks like when you first get here. There's no feeds saved. I've never logged in before. I've got a couple of options. I can subscribe to a feed or I can import feeds via an OPML file. I'm going to subscribe and I'm just going to type in one to just show you kind of how this functionality works. So here I'm going to type in my website URL because maybe I probably don't know what the RSS feed URL is. And here, wow, we've got 4. So I'm going to pick one. And I'm going to change this title just a little bit because that's not really descriptive when I'm going to have a lot of feeds in the list. That's not going to really tell me what that is. So I can change that, no problem. And then I've set up a term store with categories. And let's call this community site. And I've set up my categories. Well, here, let's just look at them real quick. These are more geared towards SharePoint and the types of items that were in the OPML file that we were supposed to base this demo off of, but this could be anything. I mean, it could be news, weather, sports, whatever your organization would want to put as categories, and then users can add new items as well if their category isn't in the list. So those are the choices. We'll stick with community here, that's fine. We'll save this. And so once I save this, now I've got a feed over here in my list. Also, the home page has changed. Now it's pulling in the last, I think I've got it set for pull in probably like 100 or so, because when we get a lot of feeds in there, you'll want to be able to see a few of each feed. So there I've added my one feed. Well, now let's say if I want to import several. I don't want to enter them all one at a time. That's going to take forever. So I am going to browse to a file that I've gotten. Before I do that, let me pull this up real quick here. You can kind of see it in my Windows Explorer preview here. I'm not going to upload the whole file. I think there was like 30 some feeds in there, but I've broken out a few. I think I've got about 5 here. So you can see there's some feeds here. So that's what I'm going to upload. So I'm going to browse to that. Actually, that's not where it is. Okay, so that's the file I want to open, that I want to upload. So click OK, and this will take a little bit to process. It's got to upload it to SharePoint, and then it comes and grabs the item, parses through, grabs the items from the file, and then it will add those to my feed list, and it tells me it found 5 new fields or unique feeds, and it's going to direct me to the edit feeds page so that I can add some more metadata around that. So here I can see the 5 new ones, and I can see the one I just added because it's got the category here already tagged. But I'm going to go in and add some more categories, and it probably doesn't matter if I get these correct or not. I'll just add some different ones so you can see the different categories here. We'll say this one's end user. We'll add a couple more. Whoops, got ahead of myself. And we'll just call this one developer as well. And then if I want to put these in some kind of an order, it's going to first sort by category and then whatever number order you've got in here. So the ones where I've got 3, where I have more than one, I'll just put them in order here. So you can tell they're not necessarily going to be alphabetical or in the order that they were uploaded. So we'll save those. And so I don't know if you noticed before that, but before I had signed categories, those were all lumped together up here. Now the page is refreshed and it's grouped by category. Now this is actually a data view web part in the master page itself that's just got grouping applied. And then if I click through on one of these guys, I'm going to open up my just a feed of just this one, just the SharePoint guys right here. And this is actually using the out-of-the-box RSS web part. And if you notice, what I passed through the query string here is the RSS URL right here. And actually, I'm using a query string filter web part to pass that into the RSS web part to show the appropriate feed. So if I click on a different one, you can see the URL and the query string changed, and then the entries also changed. I've also got expanded view here as well, and this is again another out-of-the-box web part, and this is just using easy tabs to tab back and forth between the list view and the expanded view. So that's just purely out of the box, no scripting, coding, nothing there. So that's pretty cool that you can do that. The next thing, we can go in. We've already seen the edit page because we got redirected there after we did an import, but you can actually go there anytime you want. You can delete stuff, you know, if I don't want to see that anymore. And the other cool thing about the import is, here, I'll delete a couple more. I'll delete one more. There we go, finally. And I'll delete this one. Okay, so if I go back and import, and if I try to import that same file, since some of those entries already exist, it's not going to add them again. So we should see that here. It should tell me it's only going to add a couple when it gets that far. And it's telling me there was only two more feeds added. And then again, it takes me back here and it asks me to tag them. So we'll go ahead and add a tag so we can get those categorized. Save it, and there's our feeds. Let's see, what else? Some of the functionality that I didn't have time to implement that I would have really liked to implement, I wanted to import an export, or I'm sorry, implement an export feature where it would actually loop through the list and export to OPML format or XML. That was getting to be really challenging out of the box because you really need to have server-side script to or server-side code to do that. It's really difficult, if not impossible, to do it client-side because of browser security and all that stuff. So I didn't quite get that implemented. Some other things that I thought would have been cool to implement, but just again, lack of time and you know, due to the trying to do everything out of the box, it would have been really time consuming and difficult. But stuff like um, mark as read. So if you read a post, or if you kind of scroll over it or hover over it, it would remember that, and it would mark it as read, and it would tell you, how many new feeds or new stories you've got in your feeds, that type of thing. Um, Maybe some kind of a settings page where you could choose how many feeds you want to display per page, or how many stories you want to display per page, stuff like that. Um, but overall, I learned quite a bit, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I just want to thank the judges for taking the time to offer their critique, and good luck to all the other contestants. And I really learned a lot and had a lot of fun, and thank you.